I'm Gary Edwards reporting that it looks as though your city council will get an on-the-record accounting from its staff on the controversial and little-used parking garage on McDowell Street. Let's get more on the story from Radio 93 City Editor Brian Thompson.
You've been hearing our parking garage stories for several weeks now as we've taken a look at what have become a couple of controversial garages built by the city and county. Now one of your city councilmen, Harvey Gant, tells us he'll ask for a full report on the city's facility at next Monday's meeting. To Gant, this means a full-scale review and some ideas on how to get some of you to use it. Gant says he hopes staff can give him the information at the meeting rather than postponing a review of the parking garage a week or more. This is the first time the councilman has specified that action must be taken since we started telling you of the parking garage situation here several weeks ago. I'm Brian Thompson, Radio 93 News.
Presidential contender Jimmy Carter's North Carolina campaign is well on the road right now. 4 meetings are being held this week for potential Carter supporters. Charlotte will have its meeting tomorrow. That statewide bond referendum you'll see on the primary ballot next March is mighty important to the folks over at UNCC. Chancellor D.W. Colvert says unless you pass it, UNCC will be forced to limit enrollment within the next year or two.
We've been watching the enrollments rather carefully this year because while we haven't received from the president's offices yet the exact figure on which our next year's budget will be based, we are already enrolled in excess of the original estimate for the fall of 1976.
That bond referendum means a new classroom building on the campus here, and unless they get it, they say there'll be no room to expand enrollment. With the LaGuardia tragedy fresh in our memories, a bomb threat forced the evacuation of Charlotte's Douglas Airport last night, but no bomb was found. Police tell us an anonymous man phoned the airport. This happened shortly after 9 p.m., and he said a bomb would go off in the main terminal. There's a lot of bell ringing going on in Charlotte-Mecklenburg right now. But when the bell reaches the city limits, it's somewhat muted thanks to your city councilman. The whole bell ringing episode is part of our local bicentennial celebration. Dave Curitan is out there in the middle of all this and has a live report. Dave?
Well, Mecklenburg County's big bicentennial bell ring is now off and running. The bell ringers down at Pineville. First stop along their route all through Mecklenburg County will be South Park Shopping Center, where they'll spend the night. That bell is going to be ringing for the next 200 hours straight, nonstop. High school students will be doing the ringing, and they seem undaunted by City Council's refusal to allow the bell to ring, or at least to ring at full force, inside the city limits. That would violate a city ordinance. Well, there's a unique way to get around that. According to Bicentennial Chairman Grant Whitney, his mother-in-law got together some old socks and turned them into booties that'll be attached to the bell clapper. It mutes the bell sufficiently, at least Whitney thinks, to bring the wagon through the city without stopping the bell ringing. Dave Curitan, WSOC Radio News.
Well, here's a story that may wake you up, especially if you're from the Wilmington, North Carolina area. Psychic Clarissa Bernhardt is predicting an earthquake measuring 8 on the Richter scale will hit Wilmington, North Carolina, and this is supposed to happen in a matter of days. She says between this Tuesday and January 20th. Dr. David Stewart, he's a geologist at the University of North Carolina up in Chapel Hill, is backing her up, but he's not backing her up scientifically. He says she's been right 3 times, so her prediction deserves attention. At a news conference near Charlotte, Ms. Bernhardt tells us how she reached her conclusion.
I did come to the North Carolina area with Dr. Stewart. We flew over these areas. At that particular time, I was using my ability to apply my metaphysical sensitivity. I'm sensitive to the vibrations and the radiations of different areas.
And by the way, there's a nuclear power plant at Wilmington, North Carolina. A WSOC weather forecast, cloudy, chance of showers this afternoon. All the wet stuff should end by midnight, followed by partial clearing late tonight. It's going to be sunny tomorrow, the high today, near 50 degrees, low tonight near 30 degrees. I'm Gary Edwards, WSOC Radio News.